When, oh when are those XL machines coming from Arcade 1UP? We got to talk about this because Arcade 1UP did a recent live stream that really piqued my interest. They said that they are going to be coming out with some new arcade machines like every month or two for the end of the year, and this is definitely different from what was previously said at the beginning of the year, that this year wouldn't be very exciting. This wouldn't be something, they wouldn't really come out with any new machines. That's what I heard, and it looks like all of that has changed. I don't know what else to say, but so I started to think about it, and this is my thought on it. I want to cover a couple things in this podcast episode. First of all, thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. I see Console Fanboy, Matt Astor Gaming, JJ here in the chat, trying to make some uplifting content today. And in fact, I have a part of the content that I'm going to try to do very early in this episode. And this is literally me telling you something I told my wife that she laughed really hard last night. And it's really difficult to get her to laugh. She has like a really high ceiling for humor. And it's related to this topic. It's kind of the influence of this entire episode. So I want to talk about the XL cabinets that I'm super excited about. No mystery. It's up on the thumbnail. And that is, I want to see some variations of the Star Wars, anything Star Wars from Arcade 1UP. Come on, like, you've overdone Pac-Man. We've talked about this 1,000 times, but you really don't have much love for some really fantastic arcade games in this series. And if I wanted to get one in an XL, something more full size at a decent price, it would be the Star Wars machines. And I'm saying all of them, right? So why not? Why not have a Star Wars machine in an XL? Why not do an Empire Strikes Back? Why not Return of the Jedi and finally come out with the definitive, something everyone's been asking for, is the Sega Star Wars trilogy? Those would be number one on my list. If they were like, hey, we're going to do an XL machine, and it's whatever you wish it to be, imagine it was like custom, I would say it would be one of those. And that's kind of remained the topic on it. I want to mention also, I'm trying something new. After this episode, if you watch through this episode, it will be a little bit shorter than, it's not 2 hours long. It's going to take you into a premiere of a video that I've been working on for the last few days, and it's a new series called Can I Fix It? Now, this is something I've been wanting to do for a couple years. I watch a lot of other content creators that basically do the Can I Fix It category, and it's something that I'm really interested in doing, and I filmed it by accident. So, like, I feel like something is telling me you gotta do the Can I Fix It series. So truth be told, the Can I Fix It series, it's not a video that I intended for YouTube. I made it for 19K Fox. It's a personal video that I created for 19K Fox, and in the process of doing it, I realized it's kind of a Can I Fix It format. So I slapped an intro and an outro on it, edited it really quick, and the editing is not amazing, so cut me a little bit of slack. The audio is not that great, but whatever. I'm gonna make the content. I'm gonna make more of it, and it's not just arcades. So I need to fix a Nintendo Switch that my wife broke or used too much. I'm gonna film a Can I Fix It for the Nintendo Switch. You know why? Because I enjoy fixing things. I also have a broken Arcade 1UP, or one that needs modded. Can I fix it? Let's do this, guys. So if you appreciate my Can I Fix It series, please watch it, give feedback, how I can make that content more enjoyable for you. I will read the comments, and I will take your feedback, because this is a passion for me that I want to make that content. But if the viewers are like, oh, tweak this, tweak that, and you'll make it more entertaining, I'll do it. I'll do it. Again, thank you guys so much for coming to hang out on this live stream. All right, so let me get you excited about one of the best video games. It's great. It's a great video game. It's the Return of the Jedi game. Now, this is often overlooked, but hit 1 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Hit 0 in the chat if you own a Star Wars Arcade 1UP and you never, ever, ever play Return of the Jedi. It is great. This game is fantastic. And so I got to play the original Return of the Jedi last year. And in person, it's like, I swear, there's some weird thing where people are like, oh, that game's made for kids. It's all super colorful and cheesy. And in fact, some people, when they watch this podcast, they've even said, hey, is Return of the Jedi like your favorite game or something? Because you always have it up behind you. And I have responded in the past like, no. Like, I just do that because it's colorful, which is true. Like, if I have a pick between the games behind me, I've picked Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back before, but you can't even see it. So it's like all weird lopsided in the YouTube video frame here. But with Return of the Jedi, it looks colorful. But at the same time, the game is actually really good. So, look, it's true, all of it, like 19K Fox says, all right? So, here's the thing about the Return of the Jedi. It kind of feels like you're playing out the movie, which is pretty fantastic. But you know what? Okay, this is what I'm going to do for you guys. This is what I'm going to do because I think this community is special. And special communities really deserve to have the best. So I'm going to do I told my wife she's probably going to watch this section because I'm going to show it to her later. Okay, this is where the video begins, Angela, the love of my life. Here I am telling a whole bunch of people that are watching my live stream the best story that I've ever told to my wife because, yes, she laughed very, very hard. And here it is. So recently I came across an original Return of the Jedi arcade. It's available on the internet, and maybe I'll be able to buy it. Now, these are machines that I've seen before, and I have a certain set of machines where I would take them both as an arcade one-up, or, let me turn that down, I would take it as a full-size arcade and an arcade one-up. I would own both. One for this living room area that has carpet. My wife is okay with, I think you're okay, right? You're okay with me having the machines in that room? But the big machines got to go in here in this little area? Okay. So, I got to get you excited about this game. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to read the description of this game as it's described by the seller of a person that is selling off an original Return of the Jedi, which my wife has agreed I should totally buy. Because clearly I have a lot of passion for this game because I keep on talking about it. So she's like, that's a game you should totally buy. Here's the description of that game. As I'm reading it directly from my phone of the person that is trying to sell this machine. This game is the sequel to Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. Although timing-wise, I think it may have been released before Empire Strikes Back. Not sure. I'm sure you've heard of Star Wars. It's a fairly popular movie franchise from the late 70s and the early 80s. It is a science fiction genre movie series with the classic good versus evil theme. Return of the Jedi was the third in the series, and it kind of wrapped up the original series and tied up a bunch of loose ends. This game just basically allows you to play through several of action scenes in that third movie. I'm guessing that if someone had never seen this movie, they may walk away with the game saying to themselves, what the heck is this game about? I'm flying around on a stick above a bunch of teddy bears who are trying to knock me off my stick? And why am I flying through this tight tunnel? And what is this giant ape doing trying to avoid logs in a strange robotic leg contraption? And other thoughts. But if you've seen this movie, it'll all make sense. And it's really challenging and fun. And the stereo music and the voices from the movie are so well done and awesome. The soundtrack for this original trilogy was composed by John Williams. And it is such a great composition that I actually own all three of the complete soundtracks and listen to them from time to time. One other thing that is nice about this game, that is you can get on the high score table. It plays the famous or infamous, listen closely to this. It plays the famous song Lugnut from the original Return of the Jedi soundtrack. Disney, in their infinite or lack of wisdom, decided to remove the song from the movie after buying Star Wars rights from George Lucas. Apparently, Lugnut just isn't good enough for Disney. Or maybe it conveys some message they don't find to be inclusive or diverse enough. I don't know, because I don't speak Ewok, and so I'm not sure what the words really mean. At this point, my wife is just dying laughing. I guess it's that expressing some racist sentiment against anything that's not an Ewok race, and Disney decided to censor it. Well, that song is still present on this arcade game, although only the music, so no words. So even if it does offend the Ewoks, the words are not present. I also want to mention just how cool this cabinet is. Atari was just so amazing in their prime. They spared no expense in designing and building completely unique game cabinets for every game that they did during this period. The cabinet is one of a kind, although it is somewhat similar to Major Havoc, Firefox, and iRobot. This cabinet is in very good condition. No water damage, no serious structure damage. There is one small chunk of wood broken on the back edge of one side, and that could be fixed with some wood filler and black paint. The marquee and monitor bezels are excellent condition. The control panel is it's super nice, and the coin doors are in good condition, also having quarter coin mechanisms installed, as well as the original coin box. Both rear access doors are present, which is somewhat unusual. These little doors are often missing when I find games like this in an operating warehouse. Let's see. I know that the pictures above don't do it justice. The monitor looks amazing. However, it's only because of he's explaining the stuttering speed is too fast for his phone camera, but in person, the CRT has a great picture. Now, if you didn't find that funny, you didn't have a laugh track in this video to tell you how funny that was, but keep in mind, this is the description for an arcade machine that's being sold, probably from a guy that never thought anyone would ever read that long of a description for a game that's being sold. And for you, whoever you are out there, I thank you. You made my evening. Your voice was not only heard to me, to my wife, and provided great entertainment, but it also was heard by the members of this podcast. And I thank you. And I'm telling you, man, this is a fantastic game. As you go through the game, it allows you to it does this interesting thing where you're kind of going back and forth between scenes of the movie. It's a little jarring at first, but then when you play it again, you'll find yourself just kind of going with the motions where, yes, this intro scene, a lot of you have probably played, but when you get into the third or fourth part of the game, it starts jumping between land and in outer space, and it just adds so much value to the game. So why not Arcade 1-Up? Why not even come out with the Return of the Jedi? Maybe they wouldn't do it because they figure the sales would be really low, but this original Return of the Jedi is one that's sought after a lot by people that want to buy the full-size arcades. Many of them are not in the greatest condition, and they didn't even make a ton of them. And so these are kind of more on the rare side. But what Arcade 1-Up can do, and this is the part I think you'll see it do the jumping, right? This is where you start to... It may have showed it earlier while I was talking, because I think this is level 2, a little bit more difficult part of the game. Because, it goes through the levels again, but they get more complicated. So while you're sitting here going around and trying to blow up these logs that are coming at you, and the response time, see, boom, it just jumps you all of a sudden into outer space, and then it jumps you back, kind of like the movie. That's the only way I can relate or figure out why they decided to do it this way. But I don't know. Do you guys in the chat know of any other game that does this, where you're playing the game and it literally quantum leaps you into another level of the game and you gotta switch to kind of a different perspective of the game. Luckily, you're going in that same direction, but it's exciting. And so I did a lot of reflection, and I was talking to my wife about all the full-size arcade machines that I own, and then the Arcade 1-Ups that I seek after and that I'm still interested in getting. And what I found, this common thread, and I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are, if you guys have a common thread, let me see if I can get this chat up on the screen. If it will let me, maybe it'll start to go up in a second. Someone do a test and see if it'll pop up. Oh, I think I did the wrong one. Anyway, here, this is a test. Okay, here we go. We got some chats coming in now. And I'll read some of the chat in just a second. So for me, what I noticed is the arcade games that I'm really interested in end up being the 80s games. And I hadn't really thought about that. I know I've talked about on the podcast how I want to see more 80s, but then I started reflecting what I already own, and the ones that are from Arcade 1-Up that I don't want to sell are the ones that I would consider giving up. And the common pattern I found is they're games from the 80s, and I'm like, why is that? So, quick story, when I started collecting physical carts for the old consoles, I also found a pattern where I liked the games from the Nintendo Entertainment Center almost more than the games from the Super Nintendo. So my plan was to collect as many games as I could, but limit that to only the games that I remember playing as a kid. Like, that's where I would start. And I started this maybe in 2017. And I found myself purchasing mostly NES games, but I considered myself to be someone who disliked NES, but liked Super Nintendo more. But that's not the result that came out. The result that came out is I found myself with 100 or 200 NES cartridges of games that I love and remember playing, or at worst case, I remember seeing at the local, video store and want to rent. Those are the ones that I remember either playing or maybe I saw them in a magazine. Even when I got into the games that I don't familiarize, it was always a game that had some connection with me. Again, ton of NES games, not so many Super Nintendo games. Yet for decades prior, I told everyone my favorite system was Super Nintendo. So it's an interesting thing where I say one thing, but I reflect on the outcome and what's happening, and the results are different. So I started thinking about that for the arcades, and I would assume that most of the arcades I'm interested in are 90s. But here I am, the full-size machines that I own are all 80s. Road Blasters, the Williams, Multi-Williams, a Nintendo Play Choice, and even the ones that I've been thinking about getting a 19-inch vertical system. Maybe it would be a Pac-Man. That's going to be, an 80s games. I've been thinking about getting Sinistar. So that's 80s. Among the Arcade 1-Up machines that I don't think I would want to sell would be like this Star Wars one, which has all 80s games in it. And then, although I do like the design of these other games, like, I would sell my Street Fighter over the Marvel. Like, they're not like pulling me in where I have to have it, right? And so some of the machines that I'm trying to, wait for from the Arcade 1-Ups to come down in price are also some of their 80s titles. The machines that I'm hoping that will come out as XL are also some of the 80s titles. So I don't know what it is. My wife told me that it's possible it's less about that it's a game from the 80s. I remember playing a lot of the games from the 90s, but keep in mind the 90s was filled with both new 90s games, but also 80s games. And so I just have a fond memory of those titles because some of them are great games. And so I've been thinking about this full-size Star Wars Return of the Jedi. It's on my list. I thought, why wouldn't Arcade 1-Up make that? It would really compete for my space. It really would. I was like, if Arcade 1-Up would, and I could play the game right here, but something about that style of the machine. Let me remove the chat just for a second. That's not what I meant to do. This work right? I don't know. There's something about it, and seeing it in person, this Atari machine is pretty fantastic. Now, the other one that I would say I would definitely want an arcade 1-up version is the Sega Trilogy one, and I'll talk about that why in just a second. So let's take a look at it. The Star Wars Sega Trilogy, if you guys know what that one looks like. I don't think this one is very practical to own in someone's home. It's really big, it's super large. But I found this one, for me, to be not very practical. And in tonight's video premiere, that's right after this podcast, it'll take you right into it. I talk all about this machine. I own it. But it's weird. I own this, but I don't even feel like I do own it. Like, I've talked as if I don't own it. And the reason why is because I don't have plans to own it very long. And the reason is it's huge. It's gigantic machine. It's on casters and you can roll it around. But if you want to move it in any way, height, this thing is just giant. It's giant. Luckily, 19K Fox is interested in taking it off my hands, and so the video premiere tonight is going to be talking about, can I fix it, because it has issues. This machine that I have has issues, so I was documenting that. So 19K Fox knows exactly what he's getting into, the time he's going to need to invest into this machine to be able to get it to a working quality version. So that's all documented in that video. And then, it's super big. Does 19K Fox have the space? But he says he does. He says he'll be able to. I don't know if he's going to get it into his basement, but he was talking to me and he says it wouldn't be a problem. For me, I'm out. I'm out for the Star Wars trilogy, and that's where the attention comes back to Arcade 1-Up, because if they came out with a Sega Star Wars trilogy, I would want it to be like in an XL version. And that XL version, I think they could do that justice. The size would be a little bit larger, but it wouldn't be as big. It wouldn't be as large as the original machine, and it definitely wouldn't be as heavy. So that would work out. So those in the chat, you guys, looks like JJ, a few people started putting in their picks of what they would like to see in an XL version. I invite you to do the same, and I'll highlight your chat. Do me a favor, put in an exclamation point at the beginning of your chat, so then I know that you're specifically talking to me and that you want me to highlight the chat and talk about it. So JJ says, my first pick, twin stick cab with Robotron, Smash TV, Total Carnage, Battlezone, etc. My second one would be a flight stick cab to support games like Zaxxon Scramble, Vanguard, and other shmup games. Shoot 'em up games? There you go. Yeah. Many 80s titles are listed there. I think JJ really loves 80s, and he mentioned that earlier in the chat. I don't know what's going on with Arcade 1-Up with this new release cycle. Haven't heard anything from them direct. I know I don't stay in communication with John D as other despite what some people say. The entire 1-Update show came as a surprise, and I watched it afterwards. I don't think I watched all of it. I still need to go back and watch the Eugene Jarvis. I think I tuned into it, is what it was, after Eugene Jarvis started talking, and then I had to go, and then I came back and watched it. But what excited me was them coming up with this new plan. My guess is they had some meeting, and they just said, we got to change what we're doing because what we're doing isn't working. And evidently what's not working is this whole... I realized I need to scroll down. This isn't going to work. Let's see. Yeah, watch this. The feed will start to come in. There it is. Yeah, sorry about that. It's not going to work the way that I thought it was going to work. Anyway, give me 1 second. I'm going to have to split the chat here so that it continues to feed in, but then I can read. Okay, let me do it that way. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is they got these titles coming out once every 2 months, and instead of them releasing them all at once, maybe this is a new strategy that they're trying to figure out if it will work. And I was under the impression Arcade 1-Up wasn't really going to come out with anything else this year, maybe just Big Buck Hunter. And so the opportunity to even like buy anything from them this year that I'd be interested in would be pretty low. But we'll see. I just hope they give us some really cool stuff that if they get me to buy one machine this year that is a title that I'm really excited about, then I'll be super excited. That will excite me because, I'll be excited about it. Do you think it's because the economy isn't slowing as fast as originally predicted? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with economics. At best, I've been looking at the real estate market in my area. I've been kind of looking at how many houses are selling and seeing if there's much slowdown, and there is a little, but it's not a ton. And house values continue to climb in my area, so I mean that's a positive thing. I believe that kind of shows like an upward momentum there. But the interest rates are really high. Like when I bought my house a couple of years ago, I got it when the interest rate was 4%, and now it's like 7 or 8%. And I don't know what the future holds, but based on the economy, it does restrict the options that I have. My family and I were been talking about moving eventually to Florida, and if the interest rates are high like that, but I have a low interest rate and I have to sell my house and basically get into a higher interest rate, been looking at how much my mortgage would be in that situation. It's really high. And so, it's much more than I'm paying now is what I'm trying to say. It's an uncomfortable increase in that interest rate. So if that's it's affecting me and my choices, could that be it's obviously affecting businesses and things like that. Let's see. He wants the Tron in an XL. It'd be great. See, I still think that what Arcade 1-Up is doing is really interesting. If they really are, there's some people that probably really love the 3/4 scale version, right? You got the riser version, and it just in my head, it feels like that's not the future for Arcade 1-Up. I've assumed when David McIntosh was saying we'll still have riser cabs, he was basically saying we have a deal with Walmart to sell cabs without a riser, and then you could always buy that riser. But I think they're leaning in for the new machines to be deluxe, and that's the new line. The new line is deluxe, and then if you want a bigger one, they're going to go with the XL name, is my guess, and not Pro. So it's that lower price, maybe $600, $700, $800 for a cabinet, but it's kind of like that meat in the middle. And I'm down with that. I'm down with that. Console Fanboy says, I need a great product to offer. I need a great product to make up for all the cabs so far. A Star Wars XL should be next. Can you fix it, Justin? Can you? I don't know. We'll find out. I'm totally down with making a ton of can I fix it videos, and the answer is nope. I tried. And actually, a couple content creators that I've been following, and this is one of the main reasons why I want to do the series. I watched them for a while, and they have grown in their knowledge of electronics so much. And then I watched one of the videos, and he was saying, like, just reading the comments in the videos where he did fail, and then someone said, did you try this? He, like, learned so much. So, yeah, I think that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to the series, like, teaching me. How about fixing Arcade 1-Up to accept side-loaded games? Let's see. I was thinking about doing that for ARE Arcade. Can I fix ARE Arcade? So we wait for the ARE. I'm just kidding. No drama. But that is. Can I say a joke for a second? You let me? Like, I'll make a can I fix it video when ARE Arcade goes out of business, and then nothing's connected online, and then we'll fix it and make it so you can sideload your own games on it, and then it's fixed. So that I did definitely write that down. If I say it now, I have to say I'm joking. So that's a joke. If you're clipping this, make sure you include this part where I say I'm joking. Okay. But if it did happen, that's totally what I would do. So it's, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if that did happen, there'd be like, I think I know 3 people that would get that out there, be like, there you go. It's, you know, we know how to reverse engineer this. Like, so here you go. Let's see. P-Dubs was 100% right when he said the home arcade shelf life is 5 years, about 3 years ago. So does that mean there's 2 years left? 5? Oh, he said 3 years ago it was 5 years. Could be. Could be. I hope you'll be able to get it. I am channeling your wife right now. She is not okay with any more arcades, Justin. Sorry. I don't know. Her tune's kind of changed. She hasn't given up. I talked to her about, I read that entire thing that I read earlier in the video about this. And I told her, I was like, I've been looking for the Return of the Jedi genuine machine. It's on my list. This is how much it usually goes for. I finally found one. It's not too far away, but it's you know, it's not available for sale yet. And anyway, maybe I'd get it. And she goes, it sounds like one you should get. I was like, okay. Yeah, you're right. It does sound like one I should get. So I think with my wife, I'll tell you what she doesn't like. She doesn't like spur of the moment stuff. So when it comes to like, hey, someone invite us over for dinner tonight, she's like, no, tell them no. She needs like a couple days of advance to kind of socially, mentally prepare for that type of social interaction. She truly is an introvert, and she can play the role of an extrovert. But it takes her a couple days to like build up the mental ability to be able to go and contribute to a party. And we did that last 2 weeks ago. We went to like a 90s party. It was great. A lot of fun. A lot of people were dressed up as in 90s, 80s. A good friend of mine dressed up as Marty McFly. It was great. And it was really fun hanging out with everyone. And my wife was there, and I know her really well. So I could see that she was like, had a bigger smile and was like really excited, and she was kind of being the life of the party. And the moment we got in the car to leave, it was like end scene. And it wasn't that she's like manipulating people or anything, but she's just like an introverted person like her, it drains her to be around a large group of people. Whereas an extroverted person, typically they get excited, you know, and it fills up their cup is the analogy. Anyway, so when I talked to her about arcades, like, it's not really a topic she's super interested in. So if I want to have a monologue like a podcast for 2 hours long, she's not going to listen to the whole thing. But if it's 5 minutes here and there about this and it's interesting, then yeah, she's into it. And because of that, she knows more about the machines that I have on order or things that I'm repairing, and I'm discussing things with her, but I'm keeping it light, and she really enjoys those conversations. So it's taken a while to figure out exactly the right topics to have with a spouse. I mean, I don't know. There's some people out there, maybe you're just like, I'm super comfortable with my wife. I can talk about anything for hours, and she's always interested in it. It's like, could be. Maybe you have that. My wife would be like, hey, I need to read a book tonight because I only have so much social energy. And if I pull that from her, it will make her exhausted. So, and you guys know I like to talk a lot, so I do have to kind of filter the conversations and topics to, make everyone happy. And so I do that. Let's see. I feel like the only people you need to explain Star Wars to are babies and the lost tribes in South America. There we go. Let's jump to the end of some of the conversations. Let's see. Dave Moore says the battle zone with the viewfinder. Man, interesting. Arcade 1-Up doing the battle zone with a viewfinder would be interesting. Wonder if they could pull that off with their trying to keep the cost low. Could be difficult. Yeah, I think that could be difficult. Hold on one second here. And let's see. 80s are the best. How's everyone doing? Mr. M. Mayeski says, I'm with you. Gave up on Arcade 1-Up releasing new worthy titles. Not only looking for deals, which isn't really good for Arcade 1-Up, just got T2 for $315 from Best Buy on the floor. Yeah. So the deals are definitely... you are canceled. Yeah. I'm having the feeling that Arcade 1-Up has been financially struggling since their infamous Casino-cade announcement. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say this year has probably been a pretty decent struggle for Arcade 1-Up if you look at the number of machines that they're selling. But I think what's interesting is it's possible that that's what they're trying to overcome with the upcading, the new cadence and schedule of the machines coming out. With that new cadence, I think it's very possible that they could have some relative turnaround, although I'm not really sure how great it would be. But I think you guys know what I'm interested in. You guys are still feeding the chat a little bit with, I'd love to hear more from you guys, what what type of titles that you would be interested in with Arcade 1-Up coming out with. I shared my passion, right? The passion of the Star Wars games. That would probably be my number one go-to for the machines. I mean, I'll give you my kind of hit list right now. The hit list I have is whether it's a full-size machine or Arcade 1-Up, anything Star Wars. Some of the Williams titles in that series, including anything 3/4 scale deluxe with Sinistar in it. I own a couple different ways you could play Sinistar. And even what got me excited about this topic was, so if I were to own this the original arcade Return of the Jedi, let's kind of pulling that up, see, it would probably have the original, PCB in it. And so what got me thinking was, what if on this machine, which looks this, certain way, which I think it's a pretty cool looking. I gotta turn this off. This one. I think it's a unique design. It would be limited to just, if you got the full-size version, to just this machine, just this Return of the Jedi. It would be cool, actually, to make an Arcade 1-Up version of it, right? That does have, like Empire Strikes Back on it, or Star Wars: A New Hope. And if you're doing the original arcade hardware, so you could do like some type of, maybe a JAMA switch to be able to do that, there could be some complexity into doing that. And then I started thinking, I was like, okay, the emulation from the Arcade 1-Up Star Wars machine is pretty good. And it's even good enough at the point where, like Stringer Films, what he will do is he's taken like the original Star Wars that's the sit-down version, and he's put an Arcade 1-Up PCB inside it. So when you sit down in his machine, you have the ability to be able to play the Arcade 1-Up PCB. I mean, the emulation on it is pretty good. So let's see. So Garage Gamer, let me pull this up. He asked this question. It went away. Sorry. Justin, do you think we'll get some new Arcade 1-Up announcements around Summer Game Fest again? Yeah, I mean, if they're saying more announcements are coming every month and a half or month or two, I wonder if they will still try to tie them in to some type of marketing deal. And so maybe they'll release more often. I mean, thinking it through, maybe someone in one of the chats said, like, Arcade 1-Up probably doesn't control the release schedule at all. So the fact that they're saying they're going to release a cabinet every 2 months, that's not them explaining their schedule. It's Arcade 1-Up explaining the retailer's schedule. And they're the ones that decided, hey, we don't want to get stuck. This is possible. They don't want to get stuck with a lot of inventory of a single machine that doesn't end up selling as well as they assumed. So instead of, let's say, for example, instead of buying 10,000 of a single machine, they'll still buy 10,000, but they want 5,000, or they want 5 different machines out of the 10,000. Be like, we'll order 5,000, give us a variety to get that spread. And they think, you know, because you could argue that no one single individual is going to buy 2 of the same cabinet. That's not very common. Only a crazy person like 19K Fox would do that. So using that as a basis of the theory, you could say maybe the retailers are interested in just, you know, they will buy the set amount, but they just want variety now, because then they're less likely to get stuck with an overstock of machines, because they could be selling each one of those machines to like the same set of people. Whereas if they buy 10,000 of a single title, they can only sell 1 of those machines to their audience. 19K Fox coming in with the still it's true, all of it. New channel, Overstock Gaming. There you go. Someone had a container shipment bill of lading which had Arcade 1-Up boxes that were the weight of something that was smaller than a deluxe Casino-Cade. Now that's interesting. It could be because the Casino-Cade is going to be much smaller, right? It's basically a party-cade. Anyway, thank you guys so much for coming to hang out. I promised I would do a shorter episode. I'm going to end this stream. It should take you over to my premiere of Can I Fix It? So let's go check it out and watch it, and I'll see you guys in the comments there. Again, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.